from where we sit is gorgeous, even if we don't fit inside your little portrait. The big picture is enormous, so we don't even have to fit. We after it, true purpose, yeah, we have to get. We mastered it, reporting it live from Black Pew, discussing politics, the culture, and laughing at you. Cause you don't understand the viewpoint, don't mean you up by a few points. You just ain't hip to these new joints we on. The world says to follow they pitch, we set the tone, then we knock it over the fence. Oh yes, it's gone. Them haters screaming loud from the bench. They get the bat and try to copy technique, but they miss the point that I mentioned earlier. I see that you observing the way I strangle this beat. Oh yeah, I'm a murderer. Enough of me, let's get back to this gorgeous view. I hope that you enjoyed the show. Welcome to the Black Pew.
Is it mentally healthy for you?
Is it mentally healthy for you or your partner? Actually.
No,
for you
real.
or him, actually.
No, it's for real. Cause like, if I'm not even at the point of like super exclusivity with you, and I'm already dealing with the certain nuances of the ups and downs of a relationship, that's how I know, like, when it triggers me, I'm like, oh yeah. And I already, and I just to be, it's because I'm so vague, to be a little bit more detailed about it. Like, I'll actually be more detailed about it. Okay, so I was dating this girl, right? At the very beginning of us dating, she tells me her sister's coming in from out of town. I'm like, cool. So to me, it's like, and when I hear that, I mean, that means like the communication between us is gonna maybe a little vague. Because they're coming from out of town, that's where your focus should be.
Right, to entertain, to take her out, to all the stuff. And you know?
So and it's another sister's birthday. So, I'm in my mind, I'm not expecting to hear a lot from you. Yeah. Acknowledgement, one. Detail, the dialogue, no. Okay. So, the day comes, whatever. They're kicking it. She hits me up. It's a late night. Hey, I want you to come over here and meet her. I'm like, hey, well, Chase out. You're lucky because I've already went to sleep and I got to be up at 4. You know, I can come over, but I'm let you know I can't stay like that. You feel me? Because I got to go to work. Cool. So I go over. Now I'm getting ready to leave to go to work. You throwing a little fit, whatever. I'm not with that. I got responsibilities, you know. So I'm never going to risk my responsibility for no, Yeah, cool. So I bounce. We still, slow dialogue. Her sister still has not left yet. And the question comes to me, are you okay? And I kind of knew what the are you okay was from the lack of dialogue. You shouldn't even be worried about me right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not about to entertain that. Right? So I figure, hey, I'm fine. I'm not finna
11 to 12 o'clock.
No, this is midday. But
okay.
The next day, but check this out. We've had dialogue. Like I've done. As a matter of fact, I had a delivery right around the corner from your house. I told you that. You feel me? Like on my way there. Told you when I was there. We've had dialogue like that. So I'm not understanding why you asking me, am I okay? You supposed to still be in family mode. So I'm not about to deal with this right now. I'm at work, okay? Later on, I get are you okay? Should I be worried? Because, at that moment right there, I said, we're brand new.
So you guys aren't even together?
No.
Like, kind of talking?
And it's just, we probably a weekend maybe.
Jeez.
That's... When people talk about they doing all that red flag challenge and stuff like that, that's the ultimate red flag to me. If I'm dealing with this now, that's where my mind goes. If I'm dealing with this now, 2 years in, it's gonna magnify because who you are only magnifies when you become comfortable with being around who I am.
True.
And so I gotta. Yeah, you shouldn't be dating. You got a self thing. You got
That's too much. Older, younger?
She's younger than me, but she's too old to be dealing with
That
this.
stuff, yeah.
You in your 30s.
Yeah, it's too much. Calm down.
You in your 30s, yeah.
You in your 30s.
You know better. That's what I was
We got
asking.
other,
Like,
we got other stuff that we need to be worried about other than chasing some Tang or some Wayne. Like, let's be real. Let's get into it.
Black Pew Podcast. We are. It's a nice day. It was nice. It's three of us. Of course, we had the call out of the light skin.
We don't even get the courtesy of a call out no more. But hey, let's move on.
But we got a special guest on the show.
State your name, gangster.
Amber.
Amber
alert. Amber alert. Amber.
She's a gangster from. She's the resident in our building. She be throwing up gang signs, and one time I was here.
Oh, you from right here?
I am.
Yeah, and
no wonder why she looked familiar.
Oh no,
no, I've passed you a few times. I always smile and wave. I should have acknowledged.
I didn't even, I be on my own because I know y'all be over on y'all Grizzly. Y'all be had a couple of shows over there, like
my office mate, she's a model and a photographer, and so she does like picture marathons over there.
Okay.
I had my book signing over there. We've done things like that.
You're a whole author.
Yes, I have 2 books.
That's dope.
And a model. Me and my sister started a makeup line.
Okay.
So she
be busy.
doing it,
Yeah, right. I'm a life coach, so I have clients and sessions and stuff over there too.
Okay. You feel me? I might need a life coach.
Let's go. Listen, after what you told me, you might.
I don't know about me. I know some people. No, that's not. Hold on. Actually, to tell you the truth, I deal with that very well.
You did. No, absolutely.
So I don't think I think I've coached myself. I've matured in a certain area of my life because I want to be in a certain area of my life. So that's the thing. But I also do know that I may need a little help getting to that next level. So, you know what I'm saying?
What's the title of your book?
So I have 2. One is Silhouettes of Thoughts. It's poems, prayers, and exhortations on talking about how to get out of negative self-talk and into positive self-talk through prayer and meditation. And just kind of making sure you silence yourself, find out who you are. I talk about some very personal events in my life, and just kind of how writing and prayer and meditation kind of helped me get through it. So there's some poems in there. The second book is To My Mother with Love. I am talking about grief and mourning. We lost my mother to breast cancer last year. And so it's kind of just talking about my story and some stories I pulled from some friends and how they got through their grief and the 5 steps of grief. And how to kind of come through that, especially over the last couple of years. There's been a lot of death to a lot of different things. Not even just COVID. Just there's 2 people on my timeline right now who are dealing with.
Yeah,
cancer.
I lost my mom like 2018. She had a stroke. Like it was crazy.
And it's tough.
Yeah.
So then when you lose people of any age, especially those who are closest to you. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's the bucks.
Yeah,
that's pretty dope.
Yeah. And I brought them $13 a piece.
Really?
Yeah, they're in my trunk. You can get a hold of me at any time. So I'm on the go.
Do you did you self-publish or did you go through like?
I went through a small local publisher. I don't know if she's still here, but she was in Seattle when I found her. Life Chronicles Publishing, because I was grieving. You know what I mean? So even with the first book, my mother, we were dealing with the chemo and the radiation, all the stuff. And then the second book, we were grieving. And so I wasn't trying to self-publish. So I shot her change, and she did all the hard work for me. I just had to write it and form it out and do all that, and then she goes ahead and does the process. And so it went through publishing.
The book is in her trunk. Got the Cash App
all day. Amber Shanice
and Venmo and PayPal and a 10 and 3 ones. And if you got a 10 and a 5, she got 2 ones and
I know that's right. Well, let's get into these topics because we've been holding on to this stuff for a couple of weeks.
Holding on, and I've been just like a fire burning furnace.
First, we're gonna tackle this Netflix and this Chappelle. Well, let's just call it the Netflix and Chappelle show because it's been a mess. Like, first he came out with the special, then the employees were like, "We're about to walk out." Then the employees were like, "We about to crash some of these meetings." And then the CEO released a statement defending Dave, and then they had a march.
defending both sides.
Defending both sides. That's true. Yep.
He's because let's be real, he's an advocate for both sides.
Yeah.
Because in order for people to crash his meeting means that he employs.
There were employees on his side, employees not on his side.
That's true.
Regardless on what side they want to be on, and if they're mad, he had a place for them in his company.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless on how they see it and the content that was given, he is an advocate for them. Go ahead, keep going.
No, I'm just saying no. And then
I just wanted to make sure that it'd be the case, because even though he's an advocate for Dave Chappelle, he's an advocate for their community as well.
Yeah, and then Dave responded with, what's it called? He just put out a video. He just had a video.
5 minutes.
Yeah, just 5 minutes.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
5 minutes, and he explained, and it was very tasteful. And
He was like, I'll meet with people who, I want to hear what they have to say. He was like, but I won't be summoned, and we'll do it somewhere my choosing.
And you have to watch the special from beginning to end.
Yep.
I can take that.
Yeah, because I think some people.
Nobody watched it.
I think
You
people.
can't watch it and then have an opinion on it. Like,
I want to exactly.
And
I want
after
to
to get it in its context.
Well, so I did even further than that. So I went back and I watched all of them in a row. And I was appalled because what people are so uproared at is nothing. From the beginning to the end. I'm talking about nobody was safe. He made fun of everybody. I'm talking about, if you want to be mad about the transgender jokes, there was pussy jokes. There was all type of different type. Everybody was being made fun. Mexicans, everybody was being made fun of. This wasn't a specific. It wasn't specifically towards anybody. Now, in the last two, there's a reason why transgenders were highlighted. And it's because that it's at this moment that is the only group that you can talk about, and they can attack your freedom of speech right now. You say anything that they disagree with, and you see what'll happen. They become bullies. You know? They crash meetings. They strip you of your right to speak and have an opinion. It may not be. The thing is if you look at something like Netflix has such a range of variety of content that there's stuff on there that I don't agree with. And guess what I do? I just don't watch it.
That's true.
That's it. Yeah, and so it's to the point to where people have seen that you can cancel something if you disagree with it and find it egregious, and everybody's so scared to say, you know what, that's not egregious. And this is what happened when Black Lives Matter, because when people were saying Black Lives Matter and someone would say, no, all lives matter, guess what happened? The company was saying, no, you know what, pimp, you're fired. You know, people say Black Lives Matter. Well, you know, I'm not with Black Lives Matter. I'm not with. Guess what? You're fired, because they knew that it was power in the black dollar. So they're like, you know what? We need them to keep them spending this money.
Yeah.
If they don't keep spending this money, we're out. So everybody put Black Lives Matter and Juneteenth and want to have, watermelon and chicken on.
It became a trend. It was a hot topic.
And so that's where we're at right now. And because what people don't understand is what's almost just as combative as the black dollar is the LGBTQ dollar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now, and see what Dave Chappelle was trying to make the point of is, see, when this was a war that black people were, the black gays and the black trans were fighting on, nobody really heard the battle. Because it's white men wanting to change their gender and change their name and live this type of life and be on the forefront with it and make it acceptable. Now it's offensive when you talk about it.
Yeah.
But 16 years ago, when he was saying these words, nobody was canceling him, and he was way more egregious with the way he spoke.
Yeah. And never once that caused this uproar over some of the stuff he said about black people. Because he even said, what was it?
We know that from the John Gruden situation.
Yeah.
The John Gruden situation showed up. John Gruden goes out and says about Demarius Smith, he's lying through his rubber lips, his Michelin tire lips, and the NFL says, "Oh, okay, all right, go ahead, coach. It's cool. Come out with a press conference afterwards. It's cool." I wouldn't say the NFL said that. The Raiders said that. And NFL said, "Oh, that's not enough? Okay. Well, he said faggot, and he said trans, and he said, oh, they're going to let the gay dude play and all that." And you start to talk like all this, and guess what happened? Oh, guess what, pimp? You ain't got a job no more. You got to go.
Yeah.
So you could talk. Dave Chappelle said in one of his specials, when he talked about the board of ethics, when he did the Chappelle show.
Oh yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
He did the show where he was using the word faggot, and they said you cannot use that word, and he said, but you guys let me say the word nigger with impunity.
Yeah.
And she said, so why can't I say that word? And she said, because you're not a faggot.
Yeah.
And he said, but I'm not a nigger either.
Yeah. Right. And they was like, we're disagreeing with that.
People were saying it wasn't funny. I thought it was funny, but in reality, I didn't think it was also. I don't think always Dave Chappelle does everything to be funny.
True.
I think a lot of times this was a level of activism. This was saying, you know what? You guys have attacked comedians too much. This is supposed to be the ultimate level of free speech. This is an American-made art form. There's nowhere else in the world that produces the amount of comedians that we produce. That is supposed to be the safe place. We all know it's jokes. If you can't go to a place that is designed for jokes, for us to laugh at the things that divide us, if we can't make that funny and use that as a thing to unite us, where else can we go? And that was what the statement that he was making. And he made a great statement because guess what? It ain't going nowhere. Netflix ain't taking it down.
True. And I think it was crazy the amount of, because I seen things like think pieces on, some people were like, hey, it's not what it's made out to be, or it's more than it's made out to be. And what I saw was some people trying to equate it to, like some people who were against it, equating it to directly to violence that was happening, that happens against people who are trans. And I was like, no. I was like, that's a really hard stretch.
Like, how do you get all of that from what he said, though?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Because I just feel like, first of all, I said the joke was on character and on brand for what he does and what other comedians do. So it's like, okay, well, I'll take it. But like you said, how do you get that? That's a stretch to where you're now trying to equate it to this is how they're getting beat up and this is how they're true. This is happening. We know this is happening, but this joke is how it's starting all that. No, that's happening because hate is hate and people can be trash. But it had nothing to do with what he said. I'm gonna need your think piece to pull back a little bit.
It also makes me It also lets me realize that they did not see the piece on Daphne Duerma, and they haven't followed him because that's not his first time talking about Daphne.
But I don't
because
think
this was his.
I don't
even
think
in the
they
special,
cared.
So in this special, he talks about Daphne Duerma as the deceased, but he's done like local comedy shows, and there's clips of him talking about her as his friend, as she was alive before all this started to happen. You feel me? Before he did the Sticks and Stones and all that, he was talking about when he actually started talking about her after he first met her.
But I don't think they care. Here's the thing. I think because she is now deceased, it's someone who they can say, well,
they killed her.
We don't care. Exactly. We don't care about that much because it's somebody who can't come out and say, hey, like she has before, it's somebody who can't come out and say, hey,
but this wasn't for them.
No,
this was Dave proving a point.
Yeah, no.
So Dave was proving a point to where it's saying is as soon as they disagree, they become so volatile that they will hurt their own. And that's what he was saying. It's like a mouse caught in a trap. People don't understand that a rat caught in a trap will bite its own leg off to get out of
trap,
it.
yeah.
And that's what they're doing. All of the way that this is moving. Because now if you look at the old girl that the trans woman that's crashing the meeting, guess what they're doing now? They're digging up all her social media past, and guess what she's now? A homophobic, racial, all of this because of all the stuff she's done said in the past and tweeted on Twitter. And so that's what comes with you're becoming toxic to your own movement. True. Because you couldn't just say he has the right to believe what he wants to believe, even if he's wrong. But the thing is I became a better person watching that. And you know how I feel about the LGBTQ community. When I watched that, I was like, oh my God. Mm-hmm. Like, it clicked to me. Like I have somebody I work with. Mm-hmm. And I've talked about it, how I struggled with it because this was his experience was different than mine because he knew the person after that. I had to watch a person transition, mm-hmm. and that was a struggle to me. But when he said that, and when Daphne said, "I don't need you to understand me. I just need you to believe that I'm having a human experience," mm-hmm. light bulb.
Yeah.
You didn't watch it if you came out outraged.
Yeah.
I came out a better person.
Yeah. And
people watch to get mad. They don't watch for context.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the most frustrating things about cancel culture and about social media, even for me sometimes. Like, you didn't catch the context mm-hmm. of anything that was said. Mm-hmm. You watch a little 30-second clip so you can be mad with everybody else. Yeah. And what I tell my friends, like, oh, Instagram thought I needed to know. And so you went to your Explore page, Instagram decided you needed to know.
Yep.
You read the highlights, and then you went ahead and got upset without context.
Yep.
And the context is what matters. Like I said, the before, what you needed, and then again the after.
Yep.
So now everybody just hot.
Not everybody. Yep. And I think the part they got upset about was the turf. That was the part they got really upset about was someone's opinion on a subject.
Opinion?
No, I'm saying
J.K. Rowling said gender is a fact.
No, but I know what I'm saying is that how he looks at it, that's what they got upset about.
Because he said that every human being has to pass through the legs of a woman. That's a fact.
Yeah, but they weren't upset about that.
But that was his argument to it.
Yeah.
His argument was saying, and I get it. Yeah, saying that transgender genitalia is like beyond pussy or impossible pussy. Like, I get that. That's what a punchline to a joke is.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, he's made plenty of jokes about black people. He made plenty of jokes about everybody else, and nobody has gotten upset. And yes, jokes have.
The Johnson & Johnson joke was nobody said, he's talking about the vaccine and black people have died from blood clots from the Johnson & Johnson. Nobody got uproar for that.
Mm-hmm. That's what it was. It was just
he said
his whole TV show was satire.
Yeah. No,
in the same exact special, he said he talked about the white lady talking about saying, "Shut up, bitch, before I kill you and put you in the trunk and ain't nobody around." Nobody said anything about that.
Uh-huh. That's true.
And it's so many other things that if some people were such in an uproar that you could say, you know what, that was crossing a line. But that's what comedy is. It's crossing a line. It's crossing a line. It's crossing a line that most people aren't able to cross. And that's why your mind has to work like that. And I honestly think that's why I was able to see the art in it. Mm-hmm. Because it is an art form. It has to be tastefully and structurally done. I thought it was tastefully done.
Yeah.
I thought it was done very well. I thought he stayed in his role and who he was. He stayed true to who he was. He was in his lane. But we all know in the past 5 years, Dave Chappelle has been on another plateau when it comes to doing this.
True.
He's not a comedian anymore. He's beyond that. Like, so we laugh at him. We just laugh at him being him now.
Yeah.
You know? But every time he speaks, he's trying to teach. And people are not getting that now.
He's becoming an orator.
He's Dick Gregory.
Versus,
He's Dick Gregory. Because that's what Dick Gregory just got a little bit more too serious for us, and then it wasn't funny no more. He was just going in on folks. But Dave Chappelle has found that. He said something that I thought was very great. He said, it takes years to figure out how to play yourself. And he was saying his whole career, he would watch people like Tony Woods, and he would watch them. He would pick things from them to make himself good, but it's not until after he walked away from the Chappelle show and he went to South Africa that he was able to find out who he was. So now when he does comedy, he does it as Dave Chappelle and as nobody else. Yeah. You know? And
not as somebody else who looks like Dave Chappelle.
It's amazing.
Well, let's keep it moving. On this next topic, I had to put on I've been wanting to talk about this for a minute because I've been seeing a lot of different stories about these school boards and these parents going nuts about CTR about critical race theory, about everything, about like in Texas a lot of it is with the books. A lot of it like now it's like it went from CRT to now what are the books? What books are we what books are we sheltering from, hiding from the kids or whatever? Or what are these books saying? And like, if the books talk more about race, we should get those off the shelves too. And I think you got these parents who these PTAs basically now are political action committees.
Yeah, because it's white women.
Yeah, and like, what is it? A friend of mine in Michigan, she said the school board was like they've been threatening people. And the question is like, at what point do we say, okay, look, you guys can have a say, but y'all are threatening folks to not put in changes, diversity and whatnot, inclusion, stuff like that. At what point do we say, okay, y'all went too far? Because the FBI is involved in some of these. And yeah.
So I'm sure you guys heard my eyes roll. My bad.
Go ahead, I would say so.
No, because the FBI is involved. And I'm just like, listen, facts are facts and truth is truth. So if we're going to teach, then we need to teach facts. We need to teach truth. Mm-hmm. What are you guys trying to omit?
Yeah.
And why? And what are we not trying to teach? And why? And why does it have to go to that magnitude? So facts are facts, truth is truth. This is what happened. And now teach it to where it makes sense for the age level. And then at this point, there's no real rectification, but at least teach it. You know what I'm saying? Facts are facts. History is history. What are we omitting? Mm-hmm. And why? Yeah, I don't understand. So now the FBI and everybody else is involved, and I'm like, for what?
Yeah.
Like, this happened, and I'm sorry. It's not a good past, by no means. But at the same time, it still needs to be taught. Mm-hmm. And now we still need to teach, like you said, inclusion and diversity, and how do we now coexist in classrooms and all that other fun stuff. But like, we still got to teach it.
Yeah.
Like, we can't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just to hear that it's gone that far, I'm like, y'all, that's so much.
Well, because part of it is like, how can you?
The problem is integration. That's the problem. The problem is integration. Because before integration, we had more black teachers. We relied on us to teach us. And when integration happened, we started to rely on them to teach us. Mm-hmm. And that becomes a problem because then they can write the history books, and because if you hear what they're saying, the reason they don't want CRT in schools because they don't want little white kids to start to hate themselves.
Yeah.
Well, what about all the little black kids that already hate themselves? That's okay? Mm-hmm. You know, and what makes you really think that that's what it's gonna be? What makes you think that it's going to hate themselves rather than it's going to make them maybe empower their counterparts to make them feel more included than, you know, you don't think that they have the ability to try to right the wrongs of the past, and that's the reason why everybody's the way that they are now. When we talk about any progression, and we could even take it a step back, because this is another reason why Dave Chappelle has been talking the way he's been talking, because when we look at the progression of black society, it has been so incremental. But at the same time, nothing ever happens unless there's a white person that wants to step up and say anything. You know, any black person that becomes very outspoken, or they die. Let's be right. They take all our powerful black. We can go from Black Panthers to Malcolm X to Martin Luther King, and the list can go on and on and on. Now they don't even let us get to that level because they're killing us before we can even become adults. And so it's now to the point to where we don't have black professionals that are being magnified. And so school has not become an importance of ours, because what they've have shown us, and what's so funny is another thing, censorship. They have the power to censor what goes on TV, but when you see when you see TV, you see white professionals, and the only black professionals you see are dribbling balls, carrying balls, are rapping about being drug dealers or drug addicts. And so that's what they magnify for us. When you see white people on TV, you see professionals, you see families, you see all that time, and they magnify that for them. And so we have to get back to relying on ourselves, because when we were relying on ourselves, we seen black professionals, we seen black families, even in the media, because who cares about what Bill Cosby did in his real life? But that's what he signified to us in the media.
On TV.
You know, black. Well, I mean, you had a household of a black doctor, a black lawyer. You had all kids going to college. You know, you didn't see that on TV. You know, and even then, all our shows were centered around family.
Yeah, all the shows, and there was that generation of shows that all had positive messages, that all had college going kids, professionals. Family Matters. The father was a cop. Yep.
Mother was a school teacher. You know, like we don't show that no more. You know, I mean, and so that's a problem, and that's because we started to rely on somebody else to teach us what we needed to do to be better. We already know what we need to do to be better. We just need them to take their foot off our throat. That's it. You know, let us breathe and let us be, because we are the fabric of America. Without us, there wouldn't be what we look at today as America.
True. So
we know what we need to do. We just need the resources to be able to do it.
And I think that's the problem was that, like, with integration, it was like we were like, hey, it's separate but equal, but it's not equal. Then it was like, well, just throw them in there together.
But we're still not equal.
But we're like, wait, hold on. You threw us in a dirty pot, like, together. Like, even the poor white kids, like, okay, look, you threw these poor white kids over here with the poor black kids. It's not gonna make a better situation. It's just gonna make poor, uneducated kids, like, you're not helping anybody, and you take the money out of the schools. And, like, I've never understood them taking money out of the schools that had lower scores and giving them to the schools that had better scores, when it's like, you clearly need to be doing something for
check this out.
These kids.
Ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
That is so backwards.
Yeah.
How many other cultural schools do you see? You go all over. There's different type of cultural schools upbringing for different type of cultures. They have their own little communities. They have their own churches. They have their own little schools. So they can teach the way that they want to teach. We're the only ones that don't have that. We had it, but we're the only ones that don't have that. We're the only ones that rely on the public school teacher system to teach our kids. You know, so we look at why is the black community going in the direction that we can. And I hate to quote the man Umar Johnson.
I love him. I love him so much.
Well, then you can say it.
What did he say?
You know what every black community needs, and they don't have a hospital.
A hospital. what did he say? Hospital, bank, grocery store, and a school to teach. Oh, bank to school to teach the kid, grocery store to feed them, hospital to heal them, bank. But
Bishop Don Juan Umar.
But he's right. But he's right in
I
that
know.
sense, and that's what makes it so good. Because you just
But he's a con man to get it. But he's so right. That's the. You want me to tell you something? All right, when Satan was talking to Jesus, right, and he told him he was right, because if Jesus would have gave in,
what? When he said you
you bow down to me, I give you it all. Give you the give you the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah, he didn't say nothing false to him. He
didn't say anything wrong.
He could have turned the stones into bread.
It was just a scheme. Different from him and Dr. Umar Johnson. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Dr. Umar is an upstanding citizen.
Where are the school results? I want to see some grades. Is this they send out report cards?
Oh man,
what are they doing? What are they doing?
They gotta put the
they gotta put the HVAC in.
I was about to say that.
They got Michigan pipes.
They gotta put.
I'm just saying, man. He always got something.
You don't have to like the messenger to take the message.
No,
He
says good thing. I just don't like the fact. I think he prays too much on single women. I think he prays too much on single women.
He married now, ain't he? He's he's in a polyamorous relationship.
He got situations going on too. They just say he got a little, but whatever. So shout out to Dr. Umar.
I love to pull away from the mic.
I know, right? I know. Like who was that? Who you talking about? Dr. Umar Johnson.
That one guy that always wearing dashikis and stuff like that. The extra from Black Panther.
So let me tell you, I love the memes though.
Yeah, I know the memes.
Nothing else from him. Let me tell you,
they are the best. Oh my goodness, especially the one. Was it the different words? When the words be saying that, and his eyes are like this, like.
I'd be laughing.
What was the tribe from Black Panther that challenged? What was the tribe?
It was. That's the ones from the. What is it?
Was it the Jabari tribe?
Yes, I think it was. Yeah,
he's one of them, but he didn't make the trip. They were like, you can't come. That's what Dr. Umar is one of them.
He's not that bad. If he was in Wakanda, he would have been.
I don't know anybody who take 20 years to build a school. Okay, he been 20 years. He was like, blah, 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 blah. Check this out. If you are doing all that promoting and black celebrities ain't hopping on the bus. LeBron said school, and he did it in like 2 weeks. You feel me? Yeah,
but LeBron had money from LeBron had money.
I want to hear that.
LeBron had money from the school district because he didn't put all the money in.
But that's what I'm trying to help you understand. If you can't get it done like that, that means you either burnt a lot of bridges.
True.
Or something's right not going on. Like I said.
Do you think his message was too pro-black?
I don't care if your message is too pro-black, because you know what? If you really read the undertone of LeBron's message, it was pro-black too.
True. That's fair.
Because it's just something that's going on with Dr. Umar and the relationships that he's built that some people are saying, you know what? I don't know, bruh. I can't put my stock in that.
Yeah.
Because something's going on to where if he becomes successful in this, it's all about to hit the fan. And he's one of those ones. He got something in his closet that's going to hit the fan if he blow up. Like, what he doing right now is good enough because they already know he doesn't have the attention of the whole black community. Half of us are in and half of us are out. If he was influential to get all of us, they would let us know. He got maybe babies and everything out there. Why?
He got financial issues.
Believe me. And he done stole y'all money and all this. Watch.
Yeah,
okay?
even though, because they tried to do that against, what's his name?
They did to your girl, Black Lives Matter.
Tamika.
To Patrice Cullen or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, they did do that. They did do that. Yeah.
As soon as they said, whoop, she buying properties everywhere. Look at what she doing with their money.
Yeah.
What she doing with the money. And she came out, and this what made her even look worse. I'm gonna tell you this what made her look worse. She comes out, tries to defute it. And book deals, all this type of stuff. Okay, cool, got that. But how did you get that? Like, you wasn't that person and you already secured that. You secured that by going out and being an advocate for black folks. So in reality, anything that you've accrued by being under Black Lives Matter
should be Black Lives Matter.
Exactly.
Not yours.
Exactly. That's where you messed up at. And that's why she's no longer attached to them. If you do this research, she's no longer attached to them. She dropped out. Because it's nasty work. It's nasty work. And that's what happens. That's where back to integration. That's what happened when we started to say, you know what? Every time we do something and we start to blow up, they tear it down. So we're going to have to rely on them. We can't really do this without them. So we're going to have to start doing our own thing, and we're going to have to do it their way because we're on their land and not realizing that this is our land too. Mm-hmm. Because guess what? Everybody who's born here is American, and we have a long lineage of people born in this country just as much as they do. And if that's the case, this is just as much as our land as it is yours.
Yep. That's true.
Story. Tell them that.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. A lot of times it's like, tell them that. And I think like they'll attack anybody who that's like, you're right when you say they don't really attack Umar because he literally self-destructs himself. But like people like
walking time bomb.
Yeah. What's his name?
See what they did to Cosby? Hold on. Let's be real. See what they did to Cosby. They had rape sitting on the cold case for the 50 years.
And they tried to tie it to him.
My man, people want to say, oh, they say it's a conspiracy because my man was trying to purchase a network.
I don't know about that.
He was.
I don't think he was.
The reports are up. He was part of the financial group looking to purchase a network.
But they didn't have the pockets. They didn't have nearly enough.
You're telling me Bill Cosby don't have the clout or the money to be able to put in on a network?
You need at least for NBC. You need at least.
You're telling me Bill Cosby, if he didn't have him and a group of people, because if you realize how people are doing anything right now, ownership.
Yeah,
exactly. Look at the Sounders. Yeah. Who bought that? Russell Wilson, Macklemore, Satya from Microsoft, and his Sierra, all them people, they all put in on the bag to get that.
But they had pieces, which is like they had $10-20 million pieces. Bill Cosby has money. I will not say that.
We're talking about not just the money, but one of the most iconic black men in the industry. So if not just the money, but he has the cachet to pull enough people together. So you telling me that Tyler Perry can't have his own production situation and Bill Cosby is not able to put in on a network?
I don't.
That's ridiculous to me to even think.
I don't think he
my man is making revenues off of movies before you was born.
But I don't think he had enough money for it.
You talking about one person's money.
But what I'm saying is that even with that,
regardless on if he had the money or not, he was in the negotiations. So it doesn't matter on if you count his pockets or not. It doesn't matter. He was at the table.
I don't think he was. I don't think there was.
All the reports says he was at the table.
I was looking. I did, and I don't. They weren't.
There's many reports of it.
They weren't substantiated.
By who?
I saw a bunch of them. It wasn't
substantiated by who?
There was a lot of news or a lot.
Who defuted it?
A deal like that would take. Let's just go for instance. One of the internet companies are billions and billions of dollars. NBC is one of the 4 major networks.
Which is why which is why you would think that it's more reason why they wouldn't
In-
want somebody like that.
It's
to-
NBC.
hold on,
It's
hold on.
NBC
Wouldn't it- but wouldn't that make
Universal.
more reason to not. Because if you look at the whole situation, we all know it was a sham, right? Even if what he did is what he did, the way that they went about it was.
I think you can say that. Yeah, you can say the way they went about it. Yeah.
To even know if he got off, it was so character defaming that he can't make a move like that if he wanted to now.
I think it was more they were trying to embarrass him into going away, but I don't think it was because he was a part of some deal to get NBC. Because why would you? That takes an enormous amount of money. There's not enough groups, unless it was literally half of Wall Street trying to buy.
We're talking about the first black dude who was paraded up front with the white folks on TV.
True.
So you're telling me he don't got the cachet? You tripping?
I don't
bro.
say he got the cachet,
So
but
why can't he sit at the table?
I don't say he couldn't sit at the table. I don't think there was a table to be sat. I don't think they were trying to.
Why is
sit.
it even out there then?
Because people were trying to make that, like, that make some type of conspiracy of that was why they were trying to. Yeah, they were trying to say, oh, he was trying, and that's why they came after. No, they came after him because they wanted to come after him because that was somebody who they could go, oh, we got this deal. Like, oh, we got this person who has some skeletons in his closet, and come to find out, we find out that there's a ton of skeletons in his closet.
There's an article that I'm looking at from October 29th of 1992.
Okay.
Talking about Bill Cosby trying to buy NBC from General Electric.
Uh-huh.
That's 20-something years, 30-some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Stop, Trey.
But there wasn't no.
Stop it.
There wasn't.
Stop it.
No,
Stop it.
There wasn't.
You just said that there was no proof that he was even at the
But
table.
what I'm saying
You're talking
is
about
that
30 years ago, he was
what I'm
talking
saying-
about being at the table.
What
Stop
I'm
it,
saying
Trey.
is that no.
Stop it,
What I'm
Trey.
saying is
Stop
that
it,
there
bro.
was no
Stop it.
no meetings.
Stop.
Because that deal would have been
Stop
in the news.
Stop it,
That deal would have been in the
Stop
news.
it. What's next?
That deal would have been in the
What's
news.
next?
Show me.
You know,
You went all the way to 92 because you couldn't find nothing recent.
I did actually. No. What's funny is I actually seen the article.
Go
from this
ahead
year.
and pull it up.
But the reason I pulled that article from is because the article 30 years ago is even more validates my point.
Because
that even
he was
if he
the-
didn't have the money, he was at the table.
Because he was the top. Because
I'm
he was the
done,
top
Trey.
earner. Because he was the
Point
top
proven.
earner.
It's done,
Your point
done.
isn't
Oh,
proven
my
because there was no deal.
What's next?
It was no deal.
What's next?
What I'm saying
What
though,
we talking about
you got if you don't prove it,
What's
you got
What are you talking about?
you just proved that somebody said that he wanted to, but he didn't have enough cash. Didn't have enough cash. He still don't have enough cash.
The argument saying it.
He still don't have enough cash.
I started the argument
After
saying stop
90
pocket checking the man.
92
I'm
was
just
the
saying
last year of Cosby Show. All of a sudden, he want to run NBC. Come on, for real. Be for real. Come on now. Okay. He didn't make any more. He didn't make any more good stuff after 92.
So you telling me Oprah?
That's what. You are no. Hold on. You telling me Oprah didn't want to buy NBC?
No, I'm saying Oprah could have her own. Oprah got her own network.
She did her own network, but that is not NBC, and it's a cable
It
network.
doesn't matter. But we're talking about 30 years ago. So we're talking about 30 years ago. What NBC was worth is not what it's worth today. So
You think it's worth less?
it's substantially more.
Exactly.
You just proving. You just digging a hole for yourself. It's cool. What's going on next? What we got going on next?
Go ahead.
What you got to say?
I didn't look enough into it when it happened. I'm not even gonna. Because I remember seeing all the stuff and I was like, it just looked messy, so I didn't even touch those reports. So I'm gonna let y'all have that.
Exactly. It wasn't even. He wasn't trying to. But they wanted to put it on because they wanted to be one of those. He was trying to do this and he was trying to do that, and that's why they got him. Like, no, they just got him.
Hold on. You want the proof? Okay,
Go
here
ahead.
we go. I'll read the
Go
story
ahead.
for you.
What's the news? The
news outlet.
What's the outlet?
It's called the media business. This is 30 years ago. So
Wait, hold on. No, I want you to bring up something from recent before his cases popped off.
Hold on, I'm gonna go to the end of it too because sometimes when you go to the end, it'll tell you.
And is that a credited source?
If it's a credited source, and it is. All right, cool. All right. So what it's saying is, Where I go to the point. All right. All right, hold on. So the deal didn't go through, but he tried. All right, so it was saying that Mr. Che, the firm of a bunch of fucking white dudes, Belknap, Webb, and Tyler, said they talked to the investment houses of Mr. Cosby, becoming that he called one of the number of principals in such purposes. It's not likely that Bill will do the whole thing, which means that he had a financial group. Nor would, did you pause?
No, hold on.
Nor would I consider it prudent that he tried to. The analyst said it was likely, so at that time it was $4 billion that they offered, but where was it the part? Okay. Norman Brokshaw, the chief executive of William Morris Agency and Mr. Cosby's personal agent for 30 years, confirmed yesterday that and this was in 92, that he discussed Mr. Cosby's intention to make an offer to NBC with Robert C. Wright, the network's president. Mr. Brokaw said that he flew into New York last week expressly to meet with Mr. Wright. I told him Bill is definitely interested in buying NBC, and Mr. Wright eventually said that NBC is not for sale.
Mm-hmm.
For more than 2 years, NBC has been subject for continuing rumors that it is for sale, yada, yada, yada. Mr. Brokaw said that him and Cosby had decided to fully pursue a deal for NBC. He added that Mr. Cosby had met with his lawyer, Herbert Chase, to discuss the details of the possible purchase. And then he goes on to the financial group. I said, that was 30 years ago, Trey.
That was before.
30 years ago, Trey. That's the story.
What was their most popular? What was their most popular show 30 years ago?
It doesn't matter.
What I'm saying is,
I don't care whatever. See, what you're trying to do is redirect.
No, I'm not trying to redirect. I'm not trying to redirect.
No, because every time I prove a point, you redirect it to a different.
You proved one point. You proved one point.
No, you went from that they weren't even at the table to now I'm at the table. Now you're
saying,
like, what was their popular show? It doesn't matter.
No, I'm saying
the whole point was that they tried to buy it and they were saying that it's not for sale. And when we talk about General Electric, let's go deeper. When we talk about General Electric, we're not talking about just an electric company. We're talking about music industry. We're talking about TV industry. We're talking about privatized prisons at one point. So yes, they're not giving up one of their biggest forms of advertisement.
In 92, they were still before. That's why the whole deal was that's why he said $4 billion. $4 billion.
Yeah, and it's probably like $30 billion or something now today. Maybe
it's way more because look at when I said about the shows, Cosby Show was the most popular show on NBC in 92. How many other shows have they had that were gigantic ever since 92?
It doesn't matter, but don't you think that if he would have purchased 92, that even if the Cosby Show stopped, if he was in control, he would have created a spinoff and created a platform for that to be an ongoing running thing, so they would have continuously made money off of it, if that's what you're saying. But regardless of the fact of it, I'm not talking about the strategics. I'm not talking about the worth. I'm talking about the worth. None of that matters, because that's not what I'm talking about. Because what I'm saying is regardless on if he was able to afford it or not, he was obviously in negotiations with them, and so there was something in there that he was doing that worried him enough, because that was saying that they were talking a potential deal. It's something in there that worried them enough that said we can't give him this influence, because what I'm trying to tell you is the company that they're talking about, General Electric, is behind most of the influence that we get in the media. And guess what the influence is? The pipeline to prison. So of course they're not going to give a black man no influence. That has family shows, that shows black professionals, that inspires black people to live in more than just dope dealers and athletes.
Him buying NBC does not have anything to do with
it doesn't. No, this does not make for good content.
No, it doesn't, because you're trying to say that him being in charge of NBC is going to help him influence GE to get out of all this other stuff. No, that's not what it is. And later on, in 2012 or 13 when the first cases popped
I'm not
up.
saying it will get GE. What I'm saying is it would give him power to influence.
But that
it wouldn't take away from GE's influence, but it would give him power to influence. It may take a little away from their influence because it would take part of the airways, but GE's big. What would they do? Just find another network. That's all they would have to do.
But GE doesn't own them now.
Oh, now they don't.
Yeah, because they sold it to Universal. That's why it's NBC Universal.
Now they don't.
Exactly.
But you don't know how much of it did they own. They may not gave up everything.
They gave up enough.
It doesn't. So which they mean they still have ownership.
I'm pretty sure they do not own any part of that anymore.
So
what I'm saying is what I'm saying.
You're telling me now, and this is where you're getting crazy with it.
How?
You're telling me that a company that their job is to profit is going to back out of profiting.
Profit from what?
From the network. So if they're profiting from a network, if they're involved in the profit shares of the network, if they have sales into it, even if they gave away mass control of it to Universal, you're telling me that they sold all their shares to NBC? You crazy.
Networks do it all the time. That's the reason
They're
why.
Not a network.
That's why
General Electric is not a network.
It's a company. Yes, it's a company.
It's a conglomeration.
Yes, but there's parts of it you want to sell off, just like Fox.
You'll sell off parts of it, not all of it.
They didn't sell. Of course.
Which means that they still have ownership in it.
But there's certain things you cannot keep parts of when you sell it.
Right.
Just like with Marvel. Just like let's use Marvel as example. Marvel sold off parts of their business.
Of course,
hold on, wait. When Marvel,
they still have an ownership to the part of Marvel.
That's why they couldn't do X-Men movies. That's why they couldn't do a lot of the Sony stuff. The only reason why, that's where you're wrong. No. Because now they bought back all of the Fox. They got all of the.
No, the division of Marvel that were doing the movies. No. The division of Marvel that were doing the movies can't use X-Men, right?
And they cannot use it in any other thing as well.
This is where I'm going to prove you wrong. But there's still a division of Marvel. There's still a division of Marvel that can make X-Men movies, right?
No, they cannot
So you're telling me that Marvel's what was X-Men's First Class? X-Men First Class was
that
what?
Was under Fox. You're not getting the point. That is under Fox. And then the deal just recently in 2018 was that now they have all their movie properties back.
So you telling me that when X-Men First Class came up, Marvel didn't go across the screen?
What?
You telling me Marvel didn't flash across the screen?
That's Marvel. That's Marvel, big Marvel.
Bro, you're not making any sense. Let's go.
That's what I'm saying. That's why.
No, because as long as the name is on it, they have ownership of it.
They do not. That's why they sold Fox back. Go look up the thing. The MCU now has complete control over all of the X-Men characters. They could not use any of the X-Men characters in Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, the Avengers, none of them. That's why you didn't see any X-Men characters in those movies. That's why you only saw Spider-Man once Sony said, hey, we will do a deal with you since we own the properties. Colossus is the X-Men. You saw him in an X-Men movie. You didn't see him. And X-Men was Fox. He's Fox. He's Fox. They used the Marvel. They said, Marvel, hey, look, we want to own the titles, your X-Men titles. So every character that is connected to your X-Men characters, every person we can use, but you can't use them in a movie. Marvel said, okay, cool, because we about to go bankrupt, so we sold some of our stuff. That's the only reason why they start using Iron Man and all them. That's the only reason why they start using Iron Man, because they're like, hey, what we got left on the bench?
So what you're telling me is they sold some of their company, but they kept some of their company as well.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to tell you is that General Electric
sold
some of his company,
and they couldn't use it. They don't have it back. You can sell stuff.
What I'm trying to help you understand is Marvel and General Electric are two different types of company. General Electric is the company behind the company. So General Electric, as if when they were running NBC, they also had record labels that they were running.
Okay.
They also own prisons.
Okay.
They also own electric companies. So what I'm trying to say is they're the name behind the company.
Okay.
So even if Universal comes in and says, guess what? We're going to take over the lion's share of everything. Guess who? No. Guess who's still sitting at the table?
But they're not anymore. They're not anymore. They're not anymore. That's the reason why Fox can't use X-Men characters anymore.
If you own 10% of the company, you're still at the meeting.
But you can't use anything from the meeting.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the power to influence. Forget all the, I don't care what they show on the TV, Trey. You're convoluted with the media part of it.
I'm not convoluted with anything.
Guess what? When they talk about the direction of the company,
okay,
there's a board meeting.
Okay.
That is all with the shareholders.
Okay.
Not anybody that's watching it saying, oh, I didn't want to see X-Men with MCU because they don't own it. Not that. That's not what they're talking. That's not what I'm talking about. When they say
you're talking about behind the scenes,
these are the type of shows that we want NBC to show.
Okay.
This is the direction that we want to go. Even if General Electric does not own 50% of their, if they own 22%, they're still at that meeting saying, okay, guess what? Giving their input as well too.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
You're taking it left.
No, I'm not taking it left. You're trying to make the case that why they didn't want him in the boardroom. Of course they didn't want him in the boardroom, period. But it wasn't some grand scheme to get him out as to why this big case came up.
I didn't want him in the boardroom, or did they want him in the boardroom?
Because he could have bought a different network. He could have got something else. He could have got Fox.
But obviously, he went after NBC for a reason.
And then now he couldn't get NBC in the 2000s.
So obviously, he understood.
In 92.
Obviously, he understood the power structure.
You're right. In 92.
He understood the power structure, and he understood who had the power at that time. So what he was trying to do was relinquish that from who had the influence at that time through those airwaves. Obviously, it ended up negative for him. That's all people were saying. I'm not saying that that's a direct blowback, but I am saying it is funny that he can go at the powers that be, and all of a sudden, 30 years, 40 years later, all these chicks are saying that when all this stuff was in, and when the sex revolution was going on, and everybody was doing drugs, and a known married man, you're showing up at his room having sexual relations with him, and now 30 years later, that's all I'm saying. It's a coincidence. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair.
And now, now you agree with that, and that's all I started with. You took us all down this rabbit hole.
No, but I'm saying
you took us all down. No, you took us down this rabbit hole.
I think because
NBC to me even proved to you
it can be a coincidence.
First it was he wasn't at the table. Then I proved to you he was at the table.
But okay, 92. Come on, no.
Well, I never said he had the money. Then it was like I told you it was a financial.
Come on,
and I proved that too.
You proved the 92 part. The 92 part.
Next time.
The 92. You proved the 92 part. You were like, oh, he was. No, he wasn't.
What's my man's name that do the gospel? Jonathan. What's his name? He do the circle song.
Nick Reynolds.
Yeah, you Jonathan McReynolds. You Jonathan McReynolds. You Jonathan McReynolds. You got us going in circles.
No, that was no.
You got to go in cycles.
One thing is not the other. You talking about? Oh, yeah, man, that's 92. Man, get out of here, man. They weren't worth nothing.
What are you talking about?
They was ready to
celebrating after OJ and all that around that time. 93 came. What was it? 93.
Was that 90? No, that was 94.
94?
It's 94. No, yeah.
Yeah, it was
right
shortly after that was OJ.
That's true.
Rodney King was right before that.
Rodney King was, I thought that Rodney King was 89.
Right before that. You know. Next topic, man. Next topic.
Here, guys.
Okay, next topic is relationship goals versus relationships.
Whoa, relationship goals. I think relationship goals are stupid.
Correct. I agree.
But we're going to let her, since we talk so much, we're going to let her go.
Nah, y'all are fun. I call it spades talk. When the black men get to hollering, I just sit and watch. And, you guys
know
are
how many
great.
people tell me that they enjoyed the yelling between me and you?
Oh, that was great. So I told him I wanted to vet the podcast before I came on. So I was listening to some of the stuff. I was like, are you sure, Amber? No, I was like, I'm sure. Let's go. So, no, I enjoy it. I said, I might not say a whole bunch about it, but it's fun to me. No, but I think relationship goals are trash. I'm sorry, too far away.
I'm just trying to help you out there without having to. He'll tell you. Get closer. Right?
I feel like relationship goals are trash because you never know what people are dealing with their behind the scenes. Even look at the stuff with Jada and Will. Mm-hmm. 4 or 5 years ago, they were relationship goals, and he was, they were doing the memes with the pose of him, at the red carpet with her and all the stuff. And then we later find out, they have an open marriage. That's cool for them. And then all the, August comes out, and then
we all knew
all this
that
stuff
before
comes
that.
out. Well, yeah, but all this stuff comes out, and I'm like, so this is your king. This is your relationship goal, and not even just them, but this other stuff. I'm like, but you never know what people are dealing with.
So I looked at that a little differently than a lot of other people looked at it, because I think that we don't get the chronological timeline of how everything worked.
I'll take it.
There was one thing that Will said that was very important. He came from his family. He came from his mom was in an abusive relationship growing up. So being supportive of his wife was very, very important to him.
Makes sense.
And she came from a background to where relationships it wasn't the structure of a relationship wasn't as important.
Right.
And so he kind of went along with the ride of the open relationship thing. I think at the time that we caught them with the meme and stuff like that, they had already been through the August stuff. They had already been through all of that.
But we didn't know that.
Exactly.
And so now we're calling them relationship goals. And then this stuff comes out, and we're like, oh, hold up.
And that's why
but not my relationship.
Yeah. Exactly.
But in your relationship.
Exactly.
And that's why I think it's trash. Because like you said, though some of us may have known that, I didn't know all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So then all this shit hits all this stuff hits the fan. I don't know. Can we cuss here? Okay, so now all this shit hits the fan, and we're like, oh, well, some of us didn't know that. And that's why another reason why I think that they're
there was always the
because you just
jokes.
never know.
There was always the jokes that they had an open marriage,
right?
But I didn't look at it until the August thing happened, and then I kind of like went back and I listened. I started to listen to him more about like him talking about it, and that's when I realized like he was just trying to be supportive of his wife and give her the safe space to be who she was. And it backfired on him.
Right.
And then even in the backfire, they've been on this, I guess, this journey to reclaim their marriage. And so I think that's what we're seeing. Right. So when people say relationship goals, they see the Will and Jada reclaiming the relationship Will and Jada that we all adored when they became the couple that they became, versus and from us we get a convoluted view. We get the fairy tale version of celebrity marriages and stuff like that. I mean, because we got the Jay-Z and Beyonce Lemonade, and when that came out, and Beyonce was, if you like it, tell him to put a ring on it. And next thing you know, she's, saying he been with Becky with the good hair and
smashing
stuff like
cars
that,
and stuff. We like,
and letting Solange go ape shit on them in elevators, and I mean, I'm just saying, Ray Rice can get kicked out of the NFL, but we ain't do nothing to Solange when she did that. I don't care what he did. We didn't do nothing. Solange didn't get no blow back. We cheered on Solange when she did that. Ray Rice lost his football career. I don't think Ray Rice should have had a football career after what he did.
True.
But
because he knocked that girl out. It was she might have hit him, but he knocked that girl out.
I just want to be clear. It's still October 31st, Domestic Violence Month. I just want to make clear. I'm not cool with that.
Like laundry.
The double standards is, But anyway, I mean,
but
we
I
get
think
that.
also them looking a certain way, it was always like, oh, like be the picture of a couple, like like they're this picture of couple, and they're this picture of like happy couples when they're out in public, and they're the picture of this and that. He's working hard, and she's working hard, and she's working with her mom, and then it comes. We're like, yo, I think it shattered a lot of people. Like, I think it was more for some people. It was like, dang, so I actually got to do the work. Like, I actually have to we actually have to have a something healthy versus like we can't just look. And I think a lot of people knew it.
Pictures?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, people already know that.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people were just like,
Instagram is exactly that.
Highlight reel.
Yeah, and
of everybody's life. You feel me? They don't show that the argument after the picture or the argument right before the picture.
Yeah.
And that's why they're trash.
Yeah.
Because you just kind of, you never know. So I listen to Kevin and Melissa Fredericks
Yeah,
often.
I
love them
the Love
because
Hour.
They,
I
because
like
they
that
are
one.
so transparent with the no, we did just get into a fight, or no, we did just. I had went to one of the shows one time. I was like, no, actually, she did just piss me off. And vice versa.
Kevin Sage.
Oh,
yeah.
And so that's one thing that I do appreciate is because they show you that stuff, and a lot of these other couples aren't. Less than until we get eliminated, and then it's like, man, but I was looking at y'all. But no, you guys actually, we have to actually do the work at home because I want you to be my best friend. And so because I want you to be my best friend, I can't look at their highlight reel. We have to create our own, with the tears and everything else.
But it started before social media. And
Right.
I want people to
Absolutely.
understand that. Like Disney, media, all that,
Right.
like the TV, they magnified the fairy tale, like, we wanted to have the butterflies in our stomach,
Right.
and we wanted to be in the Cinderella situations and the Prince Charmings and Snow White and whoever dude came. I don't remember. He's a white
don't
stuff.
know if he
I
had
don't
a name.
remember.
Was it Prince? It was
Somebody
Prince Charming.
saved her.
Snow White. Yeah, I think it was
Prince
Prince Charming.
Prince Charming was getting it from everybody.
Some of them had names, but I don't think that
Betty
one.
White.
I don't think he had a name.
But yeah, but whatever, and all that, I mean, even Shrek and Fiona, you feel me? It was like, I mean, even to that, it was like, hey,
Isn't that our fault as families then?
No. Well,
if
let's get to that because see, we didn't have the time. Like, so there becomes this point to where we didn't have the luxury and the time because black families were under attack. So we had this era to where fathers weren't in homes because either they were going or in prison or dead, and mom was working, so she didn't have the ability to monitor everything. So the TV was the safe haven because I knew at least if they was at the TV, they was in the home, they wasn't out in the streets running, and so it was cool for us to watch the TV, and eventually listen to music. They couldn't monitor everything that we did. And so with that being said, that's what raised us. We went to the movies to go see the Little Mermaid and Sleeping Beauty and Beauty and the Beast and all that. And what it eventually did was it conditioned us to only go after the fairy tale version of relationships, but they didn't show you what happened to Pocahontas and John Smith after they fell in love, or what happened to Cinderella and Prince Charming after they fell in love. They didn't show you what it looked like. I mean, Shrek tried to show you that, but you me tell you what was the funny part about Shrek was they always showed him and Fiona falling back in love with each other.
Yeah.
And so if anything, that was the closest thing to putting work into relationship that they showed, but it still had this fairy tale aspect to it to where people wanted that. And so then when we couldn't look at cartoons that way, we had the media, the rappers, you got your Cardi B's and Offset, and you got Sweetie and Quavo, and you got Jay-Z and Beyonce, and that's what we start to look to because, I mean, Megan and Prince Charles ain't nothing like us,
True.
So who look like us that have relationships that we admire, Will and Jada, and so we start to admire, and then we want it to look like that. So social media comes out.
Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston.
I don't know about that, but
they don't look like us either.
And so that's the thing, But I mean, that's some real love, though. I ain't gonna come on.
Yeah.
You telling me that was your girl? You feel me? You leave her for Angelina Jolie.
Had a billion kids.
Hey, y'all have 20,000 kids, and then you say, I'm finna leave Angelina Jolie, and guess what, Jennifer? I'm coming back, baby. Like, that's some real love right there.
And she went back. Her dumb self, I'm gonna tell you, all them kids
But-
with that woman goes.
But it's Brad. Yeah, but it's Brad Pitt though. Like
It's Brad
Too
Pitt.
much clout. I don't think he's all that good looking.
it's Brad. Like I found out.
Right. He don't have to be good looking.
I
He
mean,
just have to
okay.
have straight, long hair, and his hairline ain't receding. He can grow a goatee.
I'll let you have it.
You feel me?
That's all it takes.
And that's all it takes. You feel me?
I mean, not
Let
here.
Channing Tatum go bald and stop being able to grow a goatee, and she's gonna be right.
It's funny. But yeah, no, back to the TV, raising the kids for the relationships. No, I hear that. So we've been fed this overly romanticized version of love, which just isn't real. Now, I grew up with my parents in the home. And so I got to see all of, 32 years of all of the ups and downs and the fighting and, and they tried to not fight in the house, but we knew what they were doing when they were going to the car. You know what I'm saying? We knew what was going on. I was like, no, I fell asleep on the couch watching TV. Okay, I believe you.
My parents would drive to the marina.
Yeah, like,
Went to sleep and
so,
drive to the marina and hash it
so
out.
when I hear this stuff, I'm like, y'all see these highlight reels and just fall in love with this overly romanticized version of love, not really knowing love in its capacity,
No.
and then not really knowing health in its capacity, and why being a healthy, complete self can now help you be a healthy, complete partner. Man.
Which allows you to recognize it when people aren't being healthy.
Correct. And so it's like but so now how do we fix that? We have to fix the family structure. You know what I mean? So now how do you fix that? You have to get them, because watching that stuff on TV isn't a bad thing. So the issue is it's now bad without context.
And so first, how you fix it is it's an internal thing.
Yes, absolutely.
It starts internal first, and so you have to prepare yourself and put yourself in. My chosen mother, she's a prophetess. Mm-hmm. And she told me when I told her, in my older years that I want to eventually be, we talk about this. We talked about one day. Y'all said I'm closer to being married than I think, but I don't think so. But anyway, I told her one day I would eventually be a husband, and and she was like, so she took me through the whole biblical process of, how a man picked a wife and the whole ceremony and all that, and I was like, that's crazy. Like, I ain't talking about all that. But she was saying, why she was telling me was that she was like, see, what you first have to do is position yourself.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people aren't willing to position themselves, so they put themselves on unstable ground, and then they enter into relationships or marriage and things of that nature. She said what you have to do is first you have to, and it's not necessarily saying you have to go out and own your own house or you have to do all these, but you have to put in the emotional work to make yourself even available to be in that situation. And so it does start with self first. And then once you and that person do find each other, you do something like Melissa and Kev do.
Yeah.
You normalize what real relationship looks like. I might be somebody with influence. I might be somebody with clout, but I'm going to normalize what a natural relationship looks like. You're not only going to see what the good part, and even if we are smiling and happy right now, we're going to explain how we got to this point from the rocky point.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think a lot of churches mishandle that.
I agree.
Because they only talk about the highlights of being a Christian, and the only time they want to talk about the only time they want to talk about the lowlights of being a Christian is when it involves you. Yeah, and there's not very many people that are standing in leadership at the churches and saying, "Now, I and Pastor Francois, I know you be listening. Mm-hmm. If you hear it, I'm not talking about you because I know you do it. But my pastor would say." Me and my wife just got into an argument on the way to the church, right. And you could tell. And it got to the point to where he would tell us to where you knew when it happened because they would walk in and there would be times that they sat together.
Yeah.
And there would be times
or they split as soon as they hit that door.
But there's also danger in that because, yes, you should be able to show your congregants, the negative part too. But I remember being in situations where the wives were overly sharing how negative things were, almost making marriage look bad. Oh. And so it scared some of the young women into wanting to get married.
It's a balance. I think there's a balance.
It does take a balance because I'm just trying to be real and I'm just trying to let you know that marriage isn't that. Right. But now you've casted this very negative version of not just your husband, but a very negative version of marriage. Mm-hmm. And so thankfully, because I came, from 32 years and then my grandparents I have both of my grandparents before my Opa died on my mom's side. Mm-hmm. So I've seen marriage. So I'm like, I'm not going to let you shade me. But all these other little girls underneath me who don't know any better, you now have marriage looking bad. You now have your husband looking bad. You now have you looking bad because within sharing, you've not just overshared. You've overshared with the context. Well, I'm trying to keep it real. You didn't share enough, and you didn't share healthily.
There does have to be a balance with how you share. I think it just has to be a normal because we're at this point in relationships to where it's like everybody expects it to be the honeymoon stage for the entirety of the relationship, and as soon as diversity comes into the relationship, people are ready to call it quits.
Oh yeah. Well, we live in a generation where instant.
Instant gratification, and so because that is the era that we live in, we do have to normalize like, hey, we argue, we don't see eye to eye on everything, but the foundation of marriage helps us at least come to a common ground to where I can sit here and smile with her and it be genuine and I'm not faking the funk.
And if we disagree, we can communicate.
We learn our avenues of career. We can separate, and then I'm gonna let her cool off and do her thing. But we know when to come together and discuss it and get through that. And I think that's what healthy relationships do. And I don't think that we have trained enough of our generation to be able to have the tools to walk through healthy relationships.
We're not selfless enough because that takes intentionality.
Yeah.
Because now I need to learn you. I need to learn how you communicate.
Definitely.
I need to learn how you argue. I need to learn how you I need to learn your spades talk. I need to learn how you engage with him.
Yeah.
I need to now learn how you engage with your mother and your father. How do you engage in conflict, period? Because once I've learned you and your communication style, now I can properly communicate with you physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. But if I'm not intentional with learning you, then of course everything you say is going to offend me or piss me off or send me through the roof. And if you're not intentional with learning me, even my silence can sound like an attack when in all actuality, no, I'm really introverted. So I take a second, let me come up with some words, but I'm going to give them to you. Just give me a second to I got to taste them first.
Put it together.
Yeah. But
because if I just let it fly,
you're going to be mad.
Yeah.
And so if I learned you enough, now we can properly communicate. And most people aren't selfless enough to be that intentional with the way they move.
Definitely.
And so, love language is such a trigger word, but did you take the time to learn his or only yours so you can teach him how to love you? Instead, in relationships, it's supposed to be reciprocal. So I don't need to teach you how to love me. I need to teach myself how to love you, and you need to be intentional of learning how to love me. And between the two of us being selfless, we can do it. But we live in a generation that is so stuck on survival mode that we're not selfless enough to even get that far. Instead, or even like you were saying, we got to heal ourselves to be healthy. We don't take enough time. We do the surface healing, and so we never get fully whole, and so then we don't know how to love again at its full capacity. We don't know how to be intentional with what we're doing and how we're doing it. And so then we're here with this false sense of health, and we're here with this false sense of selflessness, and then we're here with this false sense of security, and we jump into these relationships and I want to know whether they're not working. Because both of you guys are on this high horse, so nobody took the time to really do the work.
And there's you
running the Popeyes trying to get some thotty sauce.
Well, and also if we want to bail, there's somebody that will bail with us. There's somebody that we can bail to. There's somebody who, I understand. She's a horrible person. They'll listen to everything. You're a great person. You're this and you're that. Instead of you coming back and saying, hey, I might have been wrong for that, or I might need to work on some things to, because that situation maybe wasn't that. Instead of going to somebody else, for what you need, instead of with your partner, and being like, hey, I might have been wrong and I'm sorry. Instead of a lot of people, a lot of times,
you know what though, I ain't gonna lie, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm at this point in my life where I got so tired of being the dude that got to say I'm wrong. Like I've done that so much. Like all my relationships based off of it wasn't gonna work unless I came back and said I was the wrong one. Like, when are you gonna be accountable for what you do?
That's the wrong chick there.
You know, but this is the thing though, and that we're talking about this generation at hand, and it's a lot more of that going on. Of women trying to make men just be accountable of that direction of the relationship, where it takes two to navigate this thing. You know, I may be wrong and I may make my missteps, but I'm not the only one that make missteps. You know, and so. So like I could talk one of the last relationship that I was in, that was our whole thing. It's like, you know what, I'm not always going to be the one that it's a funky situation unless I come to you and apologize. Like, that's not the way it is, because you're going to realize that in my pridefulness as a man and my stubbornness as a man, eventually I'm going to stop coming to apologize, because eventually it's going to be like, you know what, you don't even recognize what you do to me. And if it's that serious, and that's the reason why I walked away from the relationship, because this can't be a one-sided. I can't always continue to feel like I'm the bad person. Like this is downfalling. This is falling because of me, because it's not. Because I know that I make effort. So if that's the case, like, and that's where a lot of these relationships are failing. Men are becoming less and less intentional with how they date. Men are becoming less and less accountable for their relationships, because one, women outnumber us. So we can say, you know what? Check this out. If you ain't gonna fall in line, I'm gonna find one that will.
Yeah,
right.
True.
You know, and so it's. I don't want to put it just on one side, because it's a two-sided thing, but we always say we're the men that's gonna step up. We're the women that's gonna step up.
I agree. No, it's common for women to lack accountability, and I hate it sometimes because we for whatever reason the woman's always right, or happy wife, happy life. I'm like, that's not true because y'all be effing up too. and the fact that and not that men are completely innocent in this, but at the same time, like, you're not always right. I need you to apologize too sometimes. I need you to serve him sometimes too. I need you to do the things that he needs to do sometimes too. Because the fact that you can say this is repetitive, that's not okay. I need to be able to say, no, I was wrong this time, or this time it was you. But when it is me, please understand, I'm gonna stand up and be like, no, that was my fault. I started that. I did that. I was tripping. But again, that takes a level of intentionality in your healing, because you have to be able to not be prideful enough to say, you know what, my fault. Good looking, you are right. And not enough people are willing to do that, and that's how we build healthy relationships. We have to build healthy selves to build healthy relationships. And instead, apologize. I do a segment on my channel, Monday is for Writing. I did a whole 4-week series on accountability, talking about apologizing, telling people where you're at, how you're doing things. I was talking about relationships, and platonic and romantic, about how you're supposed to be able to give room for safety. You need to be able to feel safe coming to me. I need to be able to feel safe coming to you, knowing that if I apologize, you're not going to throw it in my face 2 weeks later, or that if you apologize, I'm not going to throw it to you. Just, there should be safety here. If you don't feel safe nowhere else, you need to feel safe here at home. So whether we're talking today or not, you're safe here.
And especially as Black people,
I agree.
Especially 100%. As Black people, we need a safe space.
Yes.
And our relationships in our community are struggling because we are struggling with providing a safe place for each other.
Correct.
And so women feel unprotected out there, and men feel, and I want to.
It's funny. Everybody feels unprotected.
It's funny. Well, and this is what I want to say, and this may be very unpopular. I believe that men are a lot more unprotected, and this is why. Because even with women, they're always attached to something. If some type of women support, or even the support of your children. When men are out there, they're just out there. And people look at us as, well, they're men. And, I remember my father, to kind of shorten up, he bought my sister a car. And I was, struggling at the time, and I actually needed a car to get off the bus and going back and forth to work. So I asked my dad, I said, hey, can you help me with the down payment to the car? And he said, you know what? You're a man. Figure it out.
I hate the logic.
And so it's to the point to where we have conditioned people to think that Black men are supposed to be this like bull in society, to where they're supposed to be able to handle everything at every turn. And I believe now, because there's not enough men to teach men, and they have been raised by women, that they are a lot more unequipped to handle the hardships of life and what society deals with it. And so they are maybe, if not the most unprotected being right now in society. Black women are a lot more educated now. They're a lot more professional now, and we're not. The average Black man is a laborer, and probably makes, the average decent Black man makes somewhere from $20 to $25 an hour, and that's decent, but that's the high end for your average Black man.
I don't even completely disagree with you. And actually, I think in one of my segments, I had said that there's no safe space for y'all. And I genuinely believe that. I said I have uncles and nephews and cousins, and I see it, and they say that the most unprotected is the Black women. But like I said, no, we are more educated, and we're quicker to get loans, and we're quicker to get office jobs and stuff that y'all aren't able to get. No, but I don't completely disagree with you. And even though it is a very unpopular opinion, it's, first of all, men across the board of every race have to put on this whole emotion. Even if you talk to your white counterparts, they will tell you, no, if my wife said it, don't do it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's a running joke, because it's a running joke in their homes too. It just sucks for y'all because y'all don't have the resources that the white have. You know what I'm saying?
They can pay somebody.
Right, because they have the resources. And that's why it sucks even harder for you, because even though it's men across the board have been forced to shut down their emotions and have been forced to shut down their healing and have been forced to shut down themselves
so we're just
to
thinking
work.
Time bombs.
Right. And then now we have the black man who has no resources and no outlet. And now we don't even have proper wives because our wives have been forced to have babies by themselves. And now I have to be the stepdad, and this woman is overly masculine, and there's all this other stuff. So now you guys have no safe place to go. When Alex said, at least they have the resources. You know what I'm saying? So no, I don't complain, though it is very unpopular. I agree. I don't disagree. I personally don't disagree with you. And I've had this argument with multiple of my black women friends who disagree with me. And I'm like, no, I've watched it. I lived with my father, a black man, and had to hear what he has to go through at home.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, at work, because my mom was good to him, but I had to hear, I had to go to work and I had to do this and I had to do that. And watching her provide a safe space for him is when I learned that, oh, y'all don't have that, and we are supposed to be that because the world is trash.
I talk to my company about it all the time because I help them understand, as a black man, I have to suppress who I am every day when I walk up in here. You guys don't have to do that.
Y'all get to be you.
You get to be who you are. But if Marvin, the Marvin that did not clock in at 5 a.m, came up in here, y'all be like,
You're aggressive.
yeah, too aggressive. You don't fit the culture of this place, And so I've opened the door, and I've you good?
Go ahead, yeah.
And so I'm loud, and I became like the life of the party in my sector, and
but it sucks that you have to be the clown.
But
that's the part you have to bring.
But that's who I am already.
Okay.
So that's the thing. That's who I am already. So I was able to do that, and I fit in and they talked to me about that. Like he's he's real good guy. His name's Shad, and he always would come to me and he would talk to me about what is it like being a black man in corporate America, trying to fit in, because it seems like you can't be yourself. Like, why is that, And he wants to have those conversations, and my management, they want to have those conversations, and I help them understand the difference because, a lot of this is a recent awareness because everybody was sitting still and seeing the country go through all this racial adversity. And so Asian hate and all this stuff was I have a higher up, he's Japanese, and he was talking about that, and I wanted to help them understand, like, even then when you look around, there's a lot more people that look like you than people that look like me. And see, what you guys do is you guys convolute the American experience. When y'all help black people, you feel as long as you help somebody that looks black, if they're from Africa or from somewhere else, you've done your job. But I want you to help you understand is that the African experience and the black American experience are two different things. And if you don't get that, then you're not really helping the problem. And what I want you to understand and what I want people to understand, and I've been in our Zoom meetings of hundreds of people, and I've told them this. I want black people like me to know that there's no glass ceiling for them. Mm-hmm. So whatever I have to do to continue to move up in this company, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. Right. Because I want people to look in here and say somebody like them is in this office. Right. And right now I don't have that. Mm-hmm. And so I've been making sure that they're very proactive on creating that space for me and making sure that that's happening and that we're not just talking about it, but we're making it happen. Because I look at the company and there's a handful of black. It's funny because we have a running joke. Actually, all of our birthdays was in October. And it's that many of us to know that. It's probably like 6 of us. So we all have a birthday in the same month. And so we have this little running joke. It's like, it's only so many of us, so we try to recognize that with each other. We celebrate each other's birthdays and we do that. Mm-hmm. But when you look around, Mexicans and Asians and stuff like that, the culture around there, like they cook each other breakfast and all that. And they make sure all of them are taken care of and all that. They do big kibashes and break room for each other's birthdays, and I try to help them understand. See, you guys created a culture around here to where they have a safe space at work, but you know, what does it look like for us sitting in the corner with 6 people celebrating? Nobody else celebrate with us.
True.
When they got 30, 40 people in the break room celebrating, you know, like make it to where you guys aren't just talking about racial equity, but it's actually a proof in the pudding. When people look at us, they say, you know what, this is actually very equally divided when you talk about race.
And we're doing the things for everybody else. That not just one group or the other.
Right.
That's true. That's a good point. And on that note, we're gonna kick it to this last topic. Last one is my favorite. But that won't ever happen. Is Missy versus Busta in his verses, and
I don't know why it wouldn't happen.
I don't think it will.
I think it would be one of the dopest verses.
I think it would be one of the dopest verses.
But
I wouldn't be anti.
It would be the best one.
But it wouldn't be so. And I think this is why it won't happen, because content-wise, like as far as like bar for bar stuff like that, it's not going to be one of those verses. It's a visual verse.
That's what I was thinking. It could be the first video versus. Like we could do
But
the
how
first.
do you pull that off? Because guess what? Busta's big ass is not finna come out in what he was wearing. Is do you
I
really
hope
want to
not.
party with me? See just what you got. Because that's how you're going to. That's the only way you're going to be able to pull it off. You can't just put a screen of that up there and have Busta's with his big ass standing in front of that and some Balenciaga t-shirt trying to like. That's not going. You know.
But I know.
You know Missy gonna come out and she gonna have the blow up
Because she
I can't stand the rain.
She has de-aged.
Oh man,
No,
she looks better
she
now.
looks she's in way more shape. So she will dance Busta. That's probably why it's not gonna happen. He can't keep up with her. she will run circles around Busta, and because even in her new, but you remember not too long ago she did one of those music awards where she did one of her. She wouldn't run him off the stage.
Yeah, but he's been performing a lot.
But he's not
in shape. That's true.
It's not that type of perform. Busta got so many current stuff that he don't really have to dig in his bag like that. And if he did, it's not like a full song. It probably maybe a couple bars, something like that, just to let people know I've been in this for a long time. But he got so much. A-Rap money is almost like a throwback. A-Rap money's a throwback now.
That is true. Yeah.
And so like he got his catalog, and that's past the visual Busta.
Mm-hmm.
Like the visual, we talking about.
But
Split Star, and we talking about Flip Mode, Split Star, that Busta versus that Missy, because Missy's always been in this bag. She hasn't really stepped outside that bag. Busta has. And so that's the only difference with it. I don't think his visual arts can really compete with hers, because when it comes to her catalog.
Yeah, he stopped innovating his videos versus she always all of hers. But I think it would I know he had said something about them setting something they had kind of set one up, but then she had I don't know if he made mention to her backing out, or if Swiss had made mention, or Timberland had said she didn't want to.
And Bone Thugs.
But I don't think Bone has 20. Do you think Bone has 20?
What?
Do you think Bone Thugs and Harmony has 20 records that we? They don't have. Okay, they don't have
to have 20 records.
They don't have to be records we know either. Like,
yes,
a lot of people play stuff.
And it's an era thing.
True,
because they were the competition for the era, because it was crucial conflict.
But when they go against somebody else, though,
no.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think I want to see them with Twista.
I don't want to see them with Twista.
What are you talking about?
I don't want to see them with Twista.
It's a comparison of styles.
True, but I don't want to see Bone Thug against Twista.
See, what people don't understand is, and that's where I think we're getting it twisted at, is they're the same. When they came out, they were each other's competition, because Twista was in crucial conflict at that time. And Bone Thugs, so that's what the beef was, because they both were fast rappers, and so that's what the whole thing was at that time. It would make for a great versus.
I don't know. I wouldn't want. I don't want to see crucial conflict.
All right, but it wouldn't have. That's why I said Twista.
Oh, I can
versus
see Twista.
Bone Thugs, because what happens is Twista can throw a crucial conflict song in there, but he could also do his own catalog versus Bone Thugs catalog.
Yeah.
And that's why I said Twista versus Bone Thugs versus Crucial Conflict versus Bone Thugs. I mean,
I don't know who Bone Thug could go. Like, I don't know. Like,
somebody else that
I
Bone
want to
Thugs,
see.
you know what I mean?
I want to see.
That's why I said Twista.
Outkast versus. I could see. I said this the other day. Outkast versus Busta, only because there's no duo in hip that's ever been that could go up against Outkast.
No, it's not fair.
How's that not fair though?
Because they got group hits, and then they did the double albums and all that type of stuff to where they were together, but they weren't, you know, so it's like doubling up. Like, that's not fair. They got hits galore, bro.
Who would you put against Busta then? If it wasn't Missy, who would you put against Busta? Because I feel like
I ain't hear this. If it's not Misty, then who? Because that's the only person. I mean, when you start looking at her production credits and then her songs and then everything, I think that she would honestly only be the only person to kind of match up with him.
No.
You know, okay.
I don't think it's fair. I think she blow him out the water.
You think so?
Yeah.
With Busta? You think she'll blow him out? I think she'll blow him out with her writing.
No, because what we've seen in Locks versus Dipset is that sometimes it has nothing to do with the hits that are out, but who's able now to control the crowd.
True.
And when Jada Kiss was the master of that crowd. Absolutely. And that's why they hands down won that versus. Absolutely. So what's going to happen is Missy is going to control that crowd by far, because you're not going to be able to beat her visual acts.
You think they will be?
Everything that she does,
she has more hits. She's a lot more
everything that her visual acts is going to come with something that's going to make you want to dance too.
Right.
That's true, but don't you? I feel like it's going to be because he's not a hard match for no reason, and I feel like he has the best hype man of all time. He's a better hype man. Spliff Star's a better hype man than Flavor Flav.
He has more hits now post Spliff Star than he does with Spliff Star, which is the problem. Because he's not going to be able, say Spliff Star does come out.
He'll come out.
Exactly. And you do your couple hits with your Spliff Star, right?
No, I think he's going to do all of them with him. Because
like I said,
he's been rolling with him.
You do a couple hits with Spliff Star. Because the rest of your catalog is Split Starless.
Oh.
So you do your couple hits with Split Star. What else do you got that's going to compete with the show that Missy's going to put on?
That's what I'm saying.
Because what are you going to do? You're going to do the little cipher he did with Papoose and all them. You just going to do your little versions of it?
That was a good song, though.
It was, but I'm just saying.
But I think
the only thing you could do is have everybody that was on the version of that song come out in your verses.
But you don't think he would bring out? I think the thing about it is, I think Missy wins because of the songs she's written. I think they're equally matched in the hits they have. I think she might win in the songs that she's written that we're just like, you wrote that?
That's what's gonna happen too.
And because
that's why they want to do a verse with Diddy.
Well, I think Jermaine Dupri wins that one.
I don't disagree.
Oh,
I think Jermaine Dupri.
Let me. That's why Diddy won't do the verse.
Oh yeah.
Because Jermaine Dupri was gonna blow him out the water.
And I think he was.
You try to come with that all about the bitch. He can just play Money in the Thing, and that's squash. You know what I mean?
I think he accepted the battle. No, but I think
Diddy will have to cheat.
I think he'd have
to play a bunch of Biggie records.
That's what I think too, and I think there should be a limit. You should only get 4 of the same artist.
I don't disagree with that because he could play all of Dilly's B.I.G's stuff, but then when you start thinking about Mariah, when you start thinking about all the Brad and all the other stuff that JD has, it's kind of like Mariah. Yeah. Queen at Christmas?
And Diddy
Diddy
already blew his low too.
Yeah.
Diddy already blew his low because when they was on the call, he started playing all the hits, and JD was like, "Why are you doing that? Like, save that for it.
Yeah.
I ain't playing nothing.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?"
And I also think Jermaine Dupri embarrassed Diddy a little bit when he said, he was like, "I'm on the list you can't buy yourself on. I'm in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Yeah. You can't buy your way in
can't just
Diddy's
produce
like,
your
oh,
way.
yep.
You can't just produce your way to this, pimp.
Yep, you can't
He's
just
like,
ad lib your way to this.
We ain't talking about, just go in the studio and say sound like this.
Yep.
No, I'm talking about the words that was sung.
I wrote.
So money ain't a thing. Yeah. And let me tell you something. If that wasn't the hardest flex by anybody that's even attempted to talk about a versus, because JD.
Yeah, it was. And it wasn't even like
I felt like everybody else. I don't even know why we talking about it. JD, just bring Janet. Just bring Janet. That's all we want to know. Yeah. Just bring Janet. I don't care. Stop talking about this versus. Let's make sure that this happened and make sure you bring Janet. That's all I want. I just want you to bring Janet, and that's it. That's it.
What if Puffy brings J-Lo?
That's not happening. We know J-Lo.
She back with Ben.
Jenny's not from the block. Jenny says she ain't from the block no more. Jenny from the block, but she ain't from the block no more.
Even their hits said, I don't like none of J-Lo's music.
True.
I'm still trying to think though, who could Busta really go with?
I think Eminem said no. I think Eminem said no.
Eminem wouldn't be
fair.
At all.
It wouldn't have been.
He would smash Eminem. I think so because the only reason why is Eminem doesn't have hits like that.
Yeah, he has.
His is just all lyrical miracle type stuff. It's not. He ain't gonna. Don't nobody want to lose
Slim
yourself
Shady,
in the music and lose it and throw up your mom's spaghetti.
But I'm trying to think. I don't think there's really any artist. There's not. I don't think
DJ Khaled.
But he would have to literally bring out. But he'd be bringing out everybody, and even then, I think he wants to go up against a DJ because I think even then
maybe 50 Cent.
Really?
He got Magic Stick, Candy Shop,
but he
in the club.
But if you look at
he got some heaters from his early on in his career.
But if you
Get Rich or Die Trying, that whole thing was a heater.
That was amazing.
And then G Unit, you feel me? They had mad heaters. Now if him and Young Buck can get, you know what I'm saying. But they got some heaters.
I think the problem. I think 50 Cent wants us to look at him like he's
a mogul now,
and he doesn't want to do that. Like that's why. But you're not Jay-Z.
You asked me who 50
no,
Cent is one of those.
But I don't
think
he wants to go. I don't think he would do Busta because I don't think it would have been tough for him to beat Ja Rule.
Who 50?
50. It would have been tough for him to beat Ja Rule.
Hell no.
If you look at hit for hit, it would have been hard for him to beat.
I think 50 would have pulled that out.
It would have hit hard for him to beat.
What you don't realize is we're talking about King Petty. You don't think that 50 Cent would have got a versus with Ja and not because we're like I just said, it's not sometimes about the amount of hits you got.
True.
If you can control the crowd, and we know King Petty can control. We're talking about the man who at a Ja Rule show bought up all the tickets in the front.
Still hilarious.
But I think Ja Rule in that sense, because when we saw him with Fat Joe, we saw a subdued. I think he would have done a similar Jada to 50 Cent.
Okay, but we're talking about Fat Joe.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I think we're talking about Fat Joe.
Yeah. But
we're talking about Fat Joe.
Yeah, but Fat Joe didn't.
We are talking about Fat Joe.
No, but what I'm saying is that I think he would have done better.
Are talking about Fat Joe.
But there's a lot of people that didn't want to go up against Fat Joe.
Crack, love Crack. He is a personality. Yeah. Love him, one of the realest. But Crack got more features on everybody else stuff than the hits that he got.
True.
And let's be real. Crack wouldn't be Crack if Pun did not die.
Yeah.
Right. Let's be real. So, no. 50 would have smashed Crack.
No, I'm saying.
No, that's what I'm saying. So J. Rule can compete with Crack because 50 would have. Crack can't compete with 50. There's no way Joe would have been able to compete with 50.
I don't know.
I think John has some really cool hits, but I still think I prefer 50's features.
A lot of people prefer Ja Rule. I'm sorry, 50 over Ja Rule for sure.
The album Get Rich or Die Trying alone would have beat Crack. Alone. Bro, I remember playing that thing, bangers, all the way through. All the way through. It went 55. This went, are we talking about Wankster? All that.
But if you go past that album, he don't have too many more really good hits.
Yeah, he got some.
He ain't got that many.
He got enough. He got enough.
But I don't think he would.
And you gotta realize, we talking about 50. We don't know what 50 got his hands on in. Because like you said, he a mogul. He might pull out something that he wrote.
I was saying we have to think about, because they count producer credits too. Didn't he just do that Pop Smoke stuff last year and this year, which the first amazing albums, by the way. Yeah. And so we have to pull out all those catalogs too.
She went up with the
and that's the new stuff. But that's the new stuff.
That thing when came out of my mind.
If we're talking about producer credits too, we have to remember, aren't those his? And then everybody else. So I think he might have got that one.
He got BMF, and I'm pretty sure that got a soundtrack to it. So
maybe he could have played the intro to Power.
Bro, I'm just saying, like,
but I don't.
There's no.
I mean, we ain't gonna take. I mean, John had a couple. He had 2 really cool hot songs.
But I know. But I don't think
he needed in order for him to pull off most of his stuff. Who do he need?
He needed Ashanti.
Of course.
Okay, but that's like saying that's the same thing as saying 50 needs.
No, it's like being a Pokemon. That's like Ash Ketchum. It's like Ash Ketchum. The only way you could battle is you throw your little Pokeball out and Pikachu come out. Pikachu.
Ashanti, I choose you.
You ain't right. You ain't right.
I'm just saying.
You ain't right.
And Ashanti, you fine, but come on.
Man,
you better than that.
That girl's so bad.
She done got badder.
Badder.
She done got badder.
She went from being average to like, man, badder.
It's when she broke up with Nelly, it's like she got finer every.
That's what it takes. A good breakup will do it to you.
Every day after that, she got finer. Like,
true.
That was her revenge.
And well, plus Instagram, really, people these pictures they put up, you be like,
who else be from Taraji? You know why I just seen Angela Bassett? I was like,
oh yeah, and
whatever grace. Let me tell you, she got. I'm gonna need some of that.
And she's the highest paid
Angela
actress.
Bassett.
She's the highest paid black actress.
I just seen a picture of her. I wanted to make Angela Bassett pregnant, and I'm pretty sure she can't even have babies. I'm just saying.
She has a whole husband, but I'm gonna need you to
I know. She's the highest paid black actress in TV history.
I think she looked like she had a BBL.
I don't know what she.
No, I'm just saying. She had accepted this award, and she turned around and I was like, "Oh, Angela, did y'all something Stella? Cause she got her groove back in the back." And I'm just saying. I was like, I didn't know. Whew.
Gorgeous. I need that grace. I need that aging grace. Whatever potion she taking.
I know.
I want that. Whatever prayer you prayed. Sierra's prayer. Okay, Angela. Whatever prayer you prayed, that's what I need.
That's Sierra prayer.
Nah.
What?
Don't talk about it.
What'd you say? Did you say Sierra?
That's Sierra. All the people talking about the Sierra prayer. Oh, you man, Russell, get the hell out of here.
So when you back to the relationship stuff. Yeah. When she had talked about it, because I remember her in an interview, someone had asked her, well, what'd you pray? She was like, for me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pray for him. I prayed that God would help me and my son and my situation. So I don't understand why I need
hella selfish.
Right. Well, to make her better. You know what I'm saying? So when you did give in, my husband to me, it could be better. But no, I prayed for me to help me get better, to help me get healthier, to help me do this, help me do that. And so I'm like, all you women are asking for the secret, for the prayer. If you listen to her, she said she prayed for herself to be healthier. Mm-hmm. She said she prayed for herself to come out better. She
said, Lord, bring me this man.
She didn't say, Lord God, bring me a good husband. Half of y'all ain't ready to be blessed with the husband that you're praying for. Let's get that out the way now.
Half of y'all still in the future mode.
Right. So half of y'all ain't really ready for that. So
and then y'all want to come to a dude like me when y'all got like 5 babies. Got like 3 babies' dads and be like, well, I'm ready to get it right. Well, I mean,
my boyfriend said he's had a bunch of kids and aggravating. Fell out laughing. He's like, nah, y'all want to come to us with a bunch of kids and aggravate.
And then I feel, and society makes me feel bad for feeling that way. Like, no, like
you should feel horrible about it. You should take whatever. Like,
First
nah.
of all, no.
No,
No. Because let me tell you something. I'm not about to take you and your 5 kids. Notice I'm not about to bring you anything that I don't expect. I'm not bringing you a bunch of kids and a bunch of baby daddy drama. Then please don't bring me a bunch of
I
kids
got
and a
one
bunch of baby
son.
mama
He
drama.
13. We don't come with a
None of
headache.
that. Sure don't.
We don't come with a headache. So you shouldn't have 4.
That's it. I have a little girl. She's 11. Me and my baby's dad get along enough. And so when my boyfriend doesn't have any kids, so when he came into the situation, he was like, "No, this is cool. Y'all get along enough. Your kid is well behaved. There ain't no problems." And I feel like that's the way it should be, and not slamming people who have multiple kids. Do what you. I mean, situations happen, divorces happen, and death and all that. I'm not bashing people who have multiple kids, but at the same time, then don't get mad when someone says, "I would rather not."
Yeah,
because you have to expect
don't
that
base-
sometimes they don't nobody want. Sometimes
No,
people don't want that,
But
and that's okay.
Well, I think what it is now. Don't spend all your time chasing the wrong parts of a relationship, and then that materializing, and then you expect somebody to come and play Mr. Clean
And fix it.
and
That's it.
fix all that. And it's
Now you
like,
want a
this is
genie.
not what it is. Like, because I don't know if I just look like stepdad or something like that. It's like
Stepdad,
the
yeah.
girls with all the kids be coming to me and be like, dang, how many kids you got? Oh, I got like 4. It's like, well.
Well, it's
and-
one
and-
thing to
and-
come in and be like,
Well-
that I have these kids. I think that's one thing, and you have the right to say, no, I don't want to date somebody with 4 kids. I don't want to
No,
date
it's the
somebody with
mentality. No, it's not about. So, I would be fine with that if your mentality about it was different.
Yeah, because if you say I come with 4 kids, all this drama, like you're like, wait, hold on, like
No,
I gotta.
no. My thing is this is my issue. There was probably multiple men out there that you were very loyal to, that you treated like with the utmost respect, like a king, and the product of this is them dogging you out. Mm-hmm. Now, once you get to me, not only do you expect that you're going to change your approach with how you treat a man, but you want me to change my approach on how I treat you. And I think that's where the problem becomes, is because, this is what happens, and I probably can speak for a lot of men out there that's been in my position. We hear the stories of your past relationships with the person that you've had a kid with because, one, more times than not, they're going to be in your life forever.
Mm-hmm.
So we hear the stories of that. But in those stories, we hear the level of dedication that you've had to them. And somewhere in between them and me, that's died down. So when you talk about masculine women and a dude coming in now you're trying to be everything that the relationship needs, and I'm just here.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the purpose of me being here? So my thing is that once women, and a lot of those women, change their mindset, because it usually doesn't happen where you have a person maybe had a kid and then that relationship doesn't work out. If you're not going out mass producing kids with other people after that, you're pretty more likely in a healthy position. Once you start going out and mass producing kids with different partners and all that type of stuff, you're putting yourself.
Sorry, it caught me off guard. Keep going. I hear you.
You're putting yourself, I believe, in dangerous territories, because now what you're saying is I've continued to make myself vulnerable to people, but they've dogged me out. So now I'm no longer making myself vulnerable to anybody. Yet I still want to make myself open to people.
Mm-hmm.
So now every time you date somebody, they're not getting the full you. They're only getting the sections of you that you're allowing them to get. And and they get it for however long that lasts, because I'm gonna 100% of the time that's not lasting forever. And if it does last if somebody's leaving there in a body bag, I guarantee you that, or in handcuffs. You feel me? So if that be the case, like.
But yeah, like I said, Ja Rule is winning
Which Ja? Where's Ja?
Verse 50.
I need Ja to answer my
He's still
relationship.
answering. I'm gonna need him to keep answering for Firefest before we try to get him to do.
He didn't.
Well, they got Where's Ja? They got a Ja segment now on the Guy's Honest Truth, so he's answering for everything now for Charlamagne's channel. But
that's the funny thing. Like, well, yeah, I don't know Busta. I don't think anybody's gonna go against him. Like, and the people who we think have enough.
He's been around too long, man.
I agree.
Because I don't even think LL and it's people like those. I don't think they would go against him. I can see
LL can because so it's like LL. So if you think about it, LL in his career, music wise, probably had been around as long as Busta had been, but it was different generations.
Yeah.
So and now the verses wouldn't do him no justice because most of the crowd wouldn't have any idea
of the LL hits. Yeah.
Aged out too.
Yeah.
He said rap don't even sound like that no more.
True.
Bro, like he couldn't. Not even the right sound. We couldn't get. That would be horrible for verses. Just that whole.
Well, they did
the
KRS-One versus Big Daddy Kane. That was good, but they're from the same era. So
and I guarantee you, it was a bunch of suits and it was a bunch of Easter suits and all that.
No, it wasn't no Easter suits. KRS-One still had his T-shirt on. He had for 20 years.
I'm talking about the audience.
Oh no, it was a bunch of hip hop people. It was in New York. I think it was New York. I think so. There's a lot of older folks. They had to go to bed soon, though.
There's a bunch of rose petal folks.
Bunch of people from that time. Just,
or La Familia.
La Familia. Pretty much.
La Familia.
Well, all right. We're about to get out of here. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week. Black Pew Podcast. Thank you, Amber, for being on the show.
Are we going to be here next week?
Yeah.
I just had to ask, you know what I'm saying? Because, we took a vacation. Is that what we're going to call it, vacation? We was on vacation for a couple weeks, yeah. We only do this one day a week, but we had to take 2 weeks vacation. It was overwhelming for the one day that we did.
Because the light-skinned, that's what we call her.
really?
The light. Because her tendencies be...
That's hilarious.
Her tendencies be light-skinned and a mug.
Is she not light-skinned?
No, she is. But her tendencies...
But I wasn't trying to say it, okay? Because I'm the rude one, okay? I'm the rude one, and so I do not say things of this nature. I'm rude in the text chat. I learned that. Oh, yeah. I just stopped responding in the text chat.
That was funny what you said, though. We'll see y'all next week. Take it easy. Peace.